Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the Voice of Reason. And before we start this episode, I must announce that this episode is brought to you by freeyourcountry.org. Freeyourcountry.org. Look, if you need to get out of your country because of war, famine, drought, whatever, and you need to go to a safe place, even if you have advanced skills such as an airline pilot or a pilot's license, a commercial pilot's license that could be valuable to your nation state, freeyourcountry.org will get you out of there. So please visit freeyourcountry.org, fleeyourcountry.org, fleeyourcountry.org. They will help you get the hell out. All right. So, where were we? So we are continuing to monitor and watch what is happening in Bakhmut. The fighting continues. The city is essentially controlled by the Russians entirely. There's this area to the west that is still contested, but again, the downtown areas are fully under the control of Russian forces. We continue to see Ukrainian forces attempt counterattacks to the north and to the south. Again, I don't believe at this point these are large-scale efforts designed to envelop Bakhmut. Again, the size and dispositions of the forces that the Ukrainians have been using have not been that great, but again, they have taken several hundred meters of territory, both to the south and to the north, as the Russians conduct a limited tactical withdrawal in this area. And again, I don't even want to call it a tactical withdrawal, given the sheer just the distance that they are claiming, the Ukrainians are claiming to have advanced. Again, just a few hundred meters. Now, in other news, we continue to hear about these attacks by the Russian cruise missiles, the supposed use of Kh-47 killjoys, daggers, Kinjals, however you'd like to designate that hypersonic weapon system. And again, as I talked about on the previous video yesterday, I am not 100% certain that, I am very doubtful, in fact, that the Kh-47s were used against the Patriot missile batteries. I know that's what's being reported and what's being talked about, but again, this is looking more and more like the Russians were using anti-radiation missiles, the Kh-31s, the Papa, the passive, the Kh-31 with the passive sensor head that is able to identify the radiation of the Patriot missile battery and then attack it. So again, I think we've gotten too wrapped up in these Kh-47s, and quite frankly, a Kh-47 and a Kh-31 could have a very similar ballistic profile in its attack. So again, the likelihood that's what we're seeing in terms of the Kh-47 being used against the Patriot, I would say is less than some of these other weapon systems that in all probability the Russians are using against the Patriot. Because again, the Russians have developed weapon systems designed to take out the Patriot. Okay, the Kh-47, the Kinjal, the Killjoy, the Dagger, it is not a weapon system that was designed to take out a Patriot. Just not. So it's very strange that the media is running with this, and it's acting like it's this battle against the Kh-47 versus the Patriot. In all likelihood, if the Kh-47 was targeting an area near Kiev, it would not be the Patriot missile battery. It'd be another target. Now, yes, the Patriot could be used possibly to defend against the Kh-47, But the idea that you're seeing this weapon system against weapon system, right, where you see the KH-47 directly attacking a Patriot and the Patriot is defending itself against the KH-47 is just nonsensical. That's not what these two weapon systems are designed for. They don't attack each other. There are weapon systems that the Russians have that are designed to attack the Patriot, and I think that's what's happening, and I believe that's what we're seeing within the context of this conflict. So it's very, very interesting. And we continue to get the same information from the Ukrainians. So the Russians launched these massive cruise missile, drone, ballistic missile strikes against the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians announced that they have shot down all the Russian missiles. And quite frankly, it's just really kind of getting old in terms of this Ukrainian reporting, in terms of just refusing to report any truthful aspect of this conflict at all whatsoever. I mean, they don't report anything essentially other than a few reported civilian deaths. That's what gets reported by the Ukrainian side. There is zero transparency, and it makes it very difficult to watch what's happening within the confines of this conflict. And what's making it even worse is we have this lousy mainstream media, right, that isn't even doing its own due diligence. I mean, even the military analysts that they're bringing on to try and make sense of what's happening, like, for instance, these missile attacks that are taking place in Kiev, where they're alleging the KH-47 versus the Patriot. I mean, again, just rudimentary knowledge of anti-radiation weapon systems and what the Russians would use against the Patriot, it isn't even being looked at. And it's really strange, really very, very strange what we're seeing right now in terms of just the lack of transparency. But again, if you look at what's happening here in the West, in the United States, just general reporting, where I continue to hearken on this, where men can become women and women can become men and kids can become animals, and it is just a bizarre time right now to be living in the United States. I would have never believed that we would be in this realm that we're in right now, but unfortunately we are, and it's really bled through in terms of trying to get real information about what's happening in international news, international conflicts. It's just false narratives, lies, and again, it makes it very difficult for even outside analysts to kind of look at what's happening on the ground and then try to bring you that information. So that's kind of where we set for today. Again, we anticipate that this area in Bakhmut, as the Russians continue to press west outside of some sort of large-scale offensive operations by the Ukrainians, this is essentially wrapped up. If this map is indicative of what the Russians control, then the battle for Bakhmut is essentially over. So we'll continue to cover, continue to report. Thank you for joining us. More to come very, very soon. Have a good day.